downtown, paint peeling off them old brick signs. Folks work hard, keep their heads down, trying to hold on to better times. Used to leave your door unlocked at night. Now everybody's got a camera on. Still got faith if we get it right, we can fix what's gone wrong. Ain't about talk, ain't about show. It's about the way we live, the way we know. Let's get back to dirt roads, back to porch lights. Neighbors standing up when it ain't polite. Cold beer, hard true stars up above. A little less noise and a whole lot of love. Red, white, blue ain't a trend we chase. It's sweat on your shirt and calloused hands grace. If we're gonna stand, we don't stand apart.
We may be tardy, but we are here. Welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
And I'm Craig Blanton. Busy.
Busy. That's the way we like to be. We did not air last night, so tonight we're going to bring you the full story from the last 48 hours, and there's a lot to cover. We're going to open with Iran, where the ceasefire that had already been declared over by President Trump escalated significantly overnight. U.S. Central Command struck 90 targets along Iran's coastline. Iran expanded its retaliation to a third country, Qatar. Jordan intercepted 8 Iranian ballistic missiles, and today all of that was happening simultaneously as Iran buried its slain Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei at a holy shrine in Mashhad, with mourners outside carrying "Kill Trump" banners while missiles were still in the air. We'll also tell you about the man who is supposed to be leading Iran right now and why almost no one has actually seen him in the last several months. Then Graham, yeah.
They ain't seen him since the initial bombing.
No, not at all. And they know they hit where he was, but he's been in a coma or whatever. Then Graham Platner officially suspended his main Senate campaign. Didn't drop out. Suspended his campaign last night in an 11-minute video, and the way he went out is almost as revealing as the story that ended his run. The second accuser has now emerged in the last 48 hours. The main Democrats are scrambling for a convention. Then Senator Mitch McConnell, Governor Andy Beshear sent a formal letter Wednesday requesting a health update. GOP Senate leadership reported substantive calls this week, calling him fully engaged. And then last night on Air Force One, a reporter asked President Trump if he had spoken with McConnell. His answer, no, I have no idea. I have no idea how he's doing. We're going to break all of that down. And before we close, we will get into some not so great news for Kentucky sports, but we cover it on all angles here, and we'll get to all of that as well. Before we get into tonight's show, though, welcome into Apex News. If this is your first time coming in, we built this show so that you have somewhere to go for real news without spin. If tonight gives you something to think about, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and make sure you click that notification bell, because that way you will see every time we're about to go live, and share it with someone who needs to be above the noise as well. So let's get right into it. Wednesday night into Thursday, the United States launched a second consecutive round of strikes, and I assume you will probably see as we get started here, there will be more bombings that will.
Yeah, it's going on. It's going on right now.
Wednesday night into Thursday, the United States launched a second consecutive round of strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command announced it struck approximately 90 Iranian military targets along the country's coastlines, a step up from the roughly 80 targets hit the night before. CENTCOM broke down the package as air defense systems, coastal surveillance assets, missile and drone storage facilities, naval capabilities, and military logistics infrastructure. The stated operational objective is consistent across both nights: to degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The strait matters because roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply moves through it. Iran has been attacking commercial vessels transiting what it considers the wrong route, not necessarily any other route, just the wrong route, which means they're not paying.
They wanted to go along the Iran coast.
Yeah,
it's going along the Oman coast.
The southern passage near Oman, you were just talking about, rather than the northern route, Iran has declared the only authorized path. The U.S. is striking military infrastructure to make those attacks more difficult and more costly. That is the logic. Night one hit about 80 targets and focused heavily on IRGC's small boat capabilities. Night two went broader, hitting the systems that support Iran's ability to project force along its entire coastline. Iranian state media also reported a strike on a railway bridge in Golestan province. Yeah, in northeastern Iran near the city of Akala. CENTCOM did not claim that strike in its public statement. Interestingly enough, CNN geolocated video showing a damaged rail bridge consistent with Iranian reporting. Iran's health ministry said the cumulative toll over 2 nights is at least 14 people killed and 78 wounded. Craig, that's not much. It was surprisingly
none of it, but you go ahead.
One night was targeting IRGC small boats. You'll never know how many people were killed there. In immediate coastal capabilities, night 2 expanded to air defense systems, surveillance, storage, and logistics infrastructure along the coastline. It's a different kind of strike package, one that looks less like a targeted response and more like a systematic effort to degrade a military's capacity over time. What is that escalation from night 1 to night 2, and really what's happening all day today and what we'll see later on? What does that tell you about the scope this administration is thinking about for the duration of this fight?
Well, the first night they took out 27 little boats. When I'm saying little boats, I'm saying boats that are like on Lake Cumberland,
right?
Those kind of small boats, just pleasure boats. And the second night, the main thing they hit that CENTCOM didn't confirm, but there's all kinds of other media that confirmed was that rail bridge. And that rail bridge is how Iran had been getting the oil because they can't ship out via water. They've been getting a small amount of oil, 500,000 barrels a day, to China and Russia across that bridge.
Correct.
So now that ends that. There's some more massive economic harm. When you can't, they've now got no way getting oil to the Caspian Sea, which is what they did by rail. We've shut them off again. India's helping on that side of Iran. So we're hitting them hard. We did all kinds of, again, where are they getting the missiles and the radar systems to rebuild that we bombed again the first night? I don't know if they're getting it from China, if they're getting it from Russia. China says it's not them, but they rebuild, and we knocked out a bunch of radar tires again and missile launching sites, drone sites. I thought, 2 months ago, we had already took out most of those.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else is left at this point, and if there is anything left, why?
Anything left?
Yeah, why is there anything left? While the U.S. was striking Iran's coastline, Iran was expanding the geography of its retaliation in a significant way. On the first night of renewed hostilities, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps struck American military facilities in Bahrain, home to the Navy's 5th Fleet, and in Kuwait. Wednesday night, Iran added a third country, Qatar. U.S. military facilities in Qatar were targeted by Iranian drone and missile attacks. IRGC said explicitly that if U.S. strikes continue, its retaliation will expand to additional American bases across the region. It's not an idle threat. They'll obviously do it. There are
U.S. go at Europe then.
Yeah, I mean, because they can apparently, and that's the scary part.
They got that missile. It's got a 2,500 mile range.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Jordan's armed forces reported Wednesday that 8 Iranian ballistic missiles were fired at Jordanian territory. Jordan actually, just before we went on the air, actually sent out an email to all of the foreign dignitaries and essentially told them that they needed to hunker down or get out. Is a good way of putting it. Usually that is a sign that they know what is about to come. Its air defenses intercepted all 8. Debris fell, but no casualties were reported. Jordan said it remained on its highest level of readiness. The Gulf Cooperation Council, representing Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman, issued a joint statement condemning Iran's attacks on commercial vessels. The regional isolation of Iran on the maritime front is increasingly clear, even if its Gulf neighbors are publicly calling out what it has done. Craig, Iran has now struck U.S. facilities in a number of countries, including Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, 3 countries in 3 nights, and fired ballistic missiles at Jordan. That is a significant geographic expansion in a very short period of time. At what point does the broader Gulf region, which is formally condemning Iran's actions, start to become more than a bystander in this conflict?
I don't know, because they've been fighting each other for thousands of years. I don't know what is stopping Saudi Arabia, Oman, and all these other places. Jordan, I think, is prepared for Israel to bomb the crap out of them.
Yeah.
And that may be why they're telling everybody to get out, hunker down. But Hamas has been relatively quiet on launching into Israel. But the thing that popped out late last night and I wasn't able to see today, I've been outside all day, darn nose is itching. The Kurds are preparing for a land invasion into Iran, northern Iran. If that happens, that'll be the first time there'll be boots on the ground. And I'm sure if they do, we're supplying them with
the CIA and the U.S. military are behind that.
That'd be
Kurdish people are extremely poor, so I mean, this is a situation where they would
be a huge upsell to the combat operations if the Kurds go at Iran again.
Totally agree. Today, Craig, Iran buried its slain Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei at the Shrine of Imam Reza in Mashhad, his hometown and one of the holiest sites in Shia Islam. The procession drew enormous crowds. Khomeini's coffin was carried slowly by truck, then through packed streets toward the shrine's gold dome, flanked by white turbaned clerics. Mourners pressed in behind, waving Iranian flags and photographs of the late Ayatollah. And some of those mourners were carrying placards that read, "Kill Trump." The crowd chanted revenge slogans. President Trump told reporters he is aware that he is #1 on the Iran kill list last night. In fact, even told the people on Air Force One they might want to go ahead and put their windows down as well, because there were no lights and they needed to get out they were in Turkey. And so the Islamic Republic's clerical leadership organized this week of processions deliberately as a spectacle of unity and ideological strength. The message to the world: despite losing their supreme leader and the bulk of their military infrastructure to joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on February 28th, the Islamic Republic is still standing, still fighting, and still capable of filling streets, even if it is with their cult-like behavior. Now, here's the piece of the story that does not fit the narrative of defiant unity. The man who is constitutionally in charge of Iran right now has not been seen publicly in over 4 months. Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the slain Ayatollah, was appointed supreme leader by the Clerical Assembly of Experts a week after his father's death. He was in the same strike on the February 28th that killed his father, his mother, his wife, and other members of his family. Senior sources in Tehran have said he suffered debilitating injuries, his face disfigured, his limbs badly damaged. He had issued written statements. No photograph, no video recording, no audio has been released to the public. Iran's government announced a Friday memorial ceremony in Qom under the auspices of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei. Whether that means he will physically appear or simply that he is being held in his name is not yet clear. Craig, I think this highlights a bigger portion of the issue that you just talked about when you were talking about the Kurds potentially invading. We do not know who is truly leading Iran right now. We do not know who is controlling the military other than IRGC leadership, but they tend to lose their first string just about once a week at this point.
Yeah, right.
So you have to wonder who is calling the shots here, but at the same time, who are we negotiating with at this point?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Trump said it yesterday in Turkey. He said they're liars, they're cheats, they're thieves and scum and several other adjectives. And he's pretty much done. He said they can Jared Kushner and JD and the other dude they can keep negotiating, but Steve Witkoff said, I'm done. I don't believe nothing they say. Every time we get close, they agree on one thing behind the doors. When we go public and say it, then they say the exact opposite. He said, I'm just done. And then we bombed them that night. Of course, this is going on while NATO's there.
Right.
We're in a NATO meeting, so I'm sure that played 5% into what it is, to showing the might of America. But let's end it. Let's end the deal.
Yeah.
He said he could hit desalination plants, railways, and maybe he did hit that bridge, that trestle.
It's pretty clear they did.
Yeah, and electric infrastructure. Man, start taking it out.
Yeah.
Because Russia's doing it. Oh, and breaking news, I'm not sure if you're aware. We might be selling Patriot missile designs to Ukraine so that they can start building themselves.
Yeah.
And Trump even said, they asked him about the drone technology. He said, we might end up buying drones from them because their drones are better than ours.
It's good money.
Yeah. So they might swap drones for the Patriot missile technology.
I will say this, and we've talked about this on this show multiple times. We as Americans are wearing thin, whether you're for this war or you're not. The patience is wearing thin. I know the administration is wearing thin, but the administration's posture is coherent at this point. The coherency is we're going to keep knocking out all of these different targets that can threaten us. But also now it appears that the president is just, he even said, last night that Iran's negotiators have already called and said they want to have a discussion, and he's just not interested at this point.
They attacked 3 ships, 3 cargo carriers. I think one of them was carrying oil, and then they don't care. Then we hit them, and then they say, "Oh, can you stop hitting everything we got?"
Right.
But tomorrow we're going to hit some more tankers, and we're going to launch at your military bases, but don't hit us back.
Don't hit us, right?
And in previous administrations, that probably worked.
Yeah, it's not going to work with this group.
But it ain't working with Trump.
No. From the Strait of Hormuz to the state of Maine, where last night Graham Platner ended his Senate campaign in an 11-minute video that managed to be simultaneously a concession and an attack, which is oddly enough. This guy's a putz. Graham Platner posted an 11-minute video to X Wednesday night, pre-recorded, and announced he was suspending his campaign for the United States Senate in Maine, not saying he was getting out. He's just suspending. The video is worth examining closely, not just for what it said, but for what it deliberately chose not to say. He opened by acknowledging how difficult this decision was, stating, quote, "This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not," end quote. He then delivered the core of his message and had nothing to do with the allegation against him. Quote, "We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power," end quote. He went on to describe how the larger organizations, the national level party, the bigger donor networks, and all committed to spending no money in the race if he remained in, and said they would, quote, "rather see Susan Collins win than have me be the next senator from Maine." That is the most unaware thing.
If you're a
egotistical thing you could say.
Yeah, if you're a Marine, he-man, macho guy, you take on the world, and then you say something like that, he already got 72.37, something like that, percent of the vote.
Right.
Who gives a credit if the Democrat Party supports you? You've won the primary. They cannot force you out.
Right.
They can't do nothing.
Stay in, big boy.
And you all this big macho talk.
Yeah.
And then you wuss out and cave to the National Party. You say, "Well, I want to pick me another DSA associate." They say,
he wants to vet him. He wants to vet
don't
the
even
next
bother calling me. Don't even call the main Democrat Party.
Yeah.
They smacked him around and probably knocked him out 3 or 4 times. And why this he-man guy pussed out and quit is I thought he would stay in after him getting attacked by his own party.
Yeah.
I thought he would say, "I'm going to show you guys I got 72% of the vote. I'm staying in."
Well, and the funny thing
they couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah, he called the nomination process that now follows his exit something that needs to come from the people of Maine. But the people of Maine have already voted. And this isn't going to, even if you have a convention, if you get in a room, there is not going to be.
A convention is not an election.
It is not an election.
It's a selection. This is going to be another Kamala Harris select, not elect candidate, which seems to be the norm for the National Democrat Party now. The National Dem said, "We're not giving you no money." Well, who cares? He got 72% of the vote in a Democrat state. Why would he drop out?
Yeah, well, it's funny because David Axelrod, and we've covered David Axelrod a bunch on this show, longtime Democratic strategist and former Obama senior advisor, responded on X within hours. His post said, quote, "In the end, Platner chose as his closing act a page right out of Trump's tawdry playbook: deny, deflect, refuse responsibility, play the martyr, slime your accusers. Platner built an admirable movement, but there was nothing admirable about the way he said goodbye," end quote. Good grief.
See, I would say, boys, I'm back in.
Yeah.
I guess you sign papers to say you're out. But if that came out before he signed those papers, man, this is why I thought he was going to drop out and be a good guy. but they attacked him. Soon as that the rape allegation came out, they went at him like rabid dogs. And I thought he'd say, well, screw y'all.
Well, and here's the thing. He hasn't said, I'm out of the race. He's just suspended his campaign at this point. So essentially,
his name's going to be on the fall ballots.
As of right now, and here on the screen, you can see this, that July 13th at 5 p.m. is the deadline when Platner must drop out. And July 27th is the deadline for any new candidate. So you essentially have 2 weeks. And we talked about this 2 nights ago. This is Kamala Harris 2.0
100%.
in Maine only. And for all the people who supported this guy, who are still supporting this guy, there are people that they're interviewing on the street right now, and they're going, well, I know he's accused of some terrible things. The same people who were saying these things about Donald Trump, they are now saying, well, it's probably not that bad. We should probably see what's happening. Good grief.
The main AFL-CIO, the leader came out and he said that the people that aren't supporting Graham Platner and want him out, that means Democrats, they should be shot by firing squad.
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty damn strong statement. Yep. And again, we had Obama was selected. Hillary thought she was going to be the next candidate, but they screwed Bernie Sanders the first time and made Joe Biden the selected candidate.
Right.
And then they screwed Joe Biden, gave him the same treatment he won with, and selected Kamala Harris without her getting a single vote. And now we got it on a U.S. Senate level. This Democrat Party, man, they're smart.
Well,
they don't need to hold elections no more.
They don't need to hold. They're smarter than you guys.
20 people in the cigar smoked room.
Yeah,
and we'll decide who the main dumbass voters are going to vote for their U.S. senator. God Almighty.
Craig, what Platner did not say in 11 minutes, he didn't acknowledge a single specific allegation by name. He did not. He did not apologize to Jenny Rassicot. He did not account for any of his conduct, the tattoo, the Reddit post, the New York Times report. The New York Times report that is actually being attacked right now for not going further. And apparently there's new information coming out that the New York Times may have held that story.
Right.
Which essentially could have played into his primary race, but they didn't do that. And now people are really wondering.
Apologized, not the paper.
Right.
But the reporter apologized for the story for not including everything in the story.
He blamed the party, not the pattern. David Axelrod compared it directly to Trump's playbook, which is for a Democrat candidate.
That's a laugh.
Yeah, for a candidate who ran an authentic anti-establishment politics type campaign. What does that exit tell you about the authenticity of what he was selling to begin with, Craig?
Well, they went looking for a person that wasn't lifelong person that runs for office again and again and again. The people that recruited him, I don't know if it was real video or not. It was a husband and wife team.
I saw that. Yep.
Was that?
I think it was absolutely real. Absolutely.
You think it's real? I didn't know if it's AI or not because, but they found him. They sold him. The Democrats across the country, from Maine to California, fell for it. The news media fell for it. CNN, MSNBC, The View. They love this guy. Even the one lady on there that just absolutely hates everybody.
Sunny Hall.
She would hold her nose and vote for Platner. Yeah. And
lack of awareness.
Yeah.
And hypocrisy
they can say nothing about Trump.
None. But this guy's an angel.
None of this. The Republican Party's done none of this. They haven't selected anybody and put them in office with them receiving 0 votes, Manchurian candidates and all that stuff. And then the squad, now got to give AOC credit. All the squad came out for Platner, all the progressives that were recently elected, not the upcoming election, previously, all of them except AOC came out in support of this guy.
Yeah.
So she might have had some better advisors than those other folks. So give AOC credit.
Well, she's getting ready for that. She's getting ready for that presidential run.
Hey, good. Let her run.
Let her run. There is a development in the Platner story that we have not previously covered on this show, and tonight we're bringing it to you fully from what we know at this point. On Tuesday, While the pressure campaign was reaching its peak, the Washington Post reported that a second woman had come forward with a separate allegation against Platner. This woman alleged that Platner repeatedly removed condoms during consensual sexual encounters without her knowledge or consent, a practice referred to in legal and clinical contexts as stealthing,
I don't understand that.
Which is classified as a sexual assault in several states. Platner's campaign denied this allegation as well. The existence of a second accuser with a completely separate and distinct allegation is essential context for understanding why Democrat support collapsed as completely as it did and as fast as it did. This was not a situation where a single credible accusation from a single named source derailed an otherwise clean candidate. Let's review the full timeline once again for all of the folks who watch the show.
Explain that second. I knew there was a second rape allegation. I didn't know the thing about the condoms.
Yeah, so apparently he was removing condoms during consensual sex.
Oh, he was taking them off and then doing the deed.
Yeah.
So is that rape or is that?
And it is defined as it is defined as sexual assault in several states.
I didn't know. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. Okay. But let's go over the entire timeline of this guy from what Democrats were defending when they backed Graham Platner. A Nazi-linked tattoo he has since covered up. Reddit post in which he made a Totenkopf. Yeah, this is not just a swastika. This is
the SS tattoo.
Death. The death squads.
Yeah, a skull and crossbones and SS tattoo.
The Reddit post in which he made lewd comments and mocked a Purple Heart veteran. A New York Times physical misconduct report from an ex-girlfriend. A Politico interview with Jenny Rassicot alleging rape, and now a Washington Post report with a second woman alleging stealthing, 5 separate scandals, multiple women, a pattern that has stretched back for years. The endorsers who called these things just distractions a few weeks ago or stayed silent at each stage of the same information the public had, they made a choice repeatedly to keep their names attached to this candidate, which is why John Fetterman came out 2 days ago and said that the people of Maine deserve an apology from Bernie Sanders and others.
There were the unnamed allegations beforehand, and then this lady with the R last name, Rassicot.
Yeah,
she came out and said, and I wondered why she said it at first, but then CNN explained it last night. She came out and said, "I believe in his politics."
Yeah,
and that's why I didn't report it 5 years ago. And I think the first girlfriend was a Republican, worked for Republicans.
Yep.
And so they spun that off that it was political.
Right.
But when this girl comes out and says, I believed in his politics, is why I didn't, I supported him. I hated to report it. But when that first girl came out, the first girlfriend, that encouraged her to do it. And I thought that was kind of odd, is why she said, I still support his politics, but he raped me. So this goes back to what CNN was talking about on their 10 p.m. panel last night.
Yeah.
Democrats are willing to do anything to get the power of the Senate and the House of Representatives. They're willing to support anybody, because with this guy starting off with the Nazi SS tattoo, and the SS guys are the ones that took care of the Jewish people, not took care of them, killed them, 6 million of them in Auschwitz and other places. That's who did it. And then they're the most brutal of all Hitler's military people. They didn't care. He didn't remove the tattoos. I said 1 million times. He just covered it, so it was still there. Then all of these Reddit posts come out and all this other stuff. They were still willing to support him.
Yeah.
And then Ro Khanna comes out last night or yesterday afternoon and says, well, he crossed my red line when he raped. I talked to him before about all these different allegations, but if something worse came out, rape or something like that, I'm no longer supporting him. So Ro Khanna said, I don't care what he does up to rape. I'm going to support him. But once he raped somebody or people, then I'm no longer supporting him. That tells you a lot about how desperate they are to get control of the House and the Senate. They're willing to, we got a guy that wants to defund the police, abolish ICE, Muslim running in Minnesota, leading the Democrat primary. They're supporting
Michigan. Yeah.
They're supporting El Said.
Yeah.
So
I guess the phrase now is believe all Democrat women, Because when a Republican, when you come out and say, well, we were going to spend this because it was a Republican woman who made this claim, that should tell you enough, ladies out there, that they don't care truly about you unless you are a pawn that they can use for what they want, which is power and control.
Yeah, that's
it's sad and pathetic.
On the Abby Phillips show, Scott Jennings wasn't on, but they had some other people. They had a conservative woman, and she said, I guess now we're going to just believe Democrat women. We're not going to believe Republican women, which was his first girlfriend.
Well, with Platner out, the main Democrat Party is now moving fast. The calendar is brutal. Under state law, Platner had until 5 p.m. this coming Monday, July 13th, to formally remove his name from the ballot. With his suspension, it's effectively done, but they still have to make the next steps to actually withdraw his name. The main Democratic Party.
So he's not withdrawn.
He is not pulled out. He has just suspended his campaign. So the party has until the 27th to name a new candidate. Less than 4 months until Election Day. The field of potential candidates is already forming. Former Maine Senate President Troy Jackson has officially launched. Big with the AFL-CIO there.
That's who the Democrats want is Troy Jackson.
Yeah. He filed FEC paperwork early this week, publicly announced his candidacy, and is widely seen as the most natural heir to Platner's progressive platform. Jackson was endorsed by Bernie Sanders for the gubernatorial race, which ran on the same fighting oligarchy infrastructure, and a poll circulated by his team this week showed him leading incumbent Susan Collins. Though early polling in a race this volatile should be read cautiously.
And remember, the DSA is trying to get a candidate too.
Yeah, well, Dan Cleveland, this guy's a piece of work. The founder of the Maine Beer Company, who ran for the seat in the Democratic primary earlier this year, says he will also seek the convention support. Former Governor Janet Mills, who dropped out of the primary in April after Chuck Schumer backed her and still couldn't gain traction against Platner, has also been discussed as a potential establishment option. Don't see that happening.
I don't either.
The convention process, the delegate rules, the timeline, none of that has been publicly announced at this point. The party says details are coming soon, so stay tuned. They'll let you know after they've chosen somebody. It sounds
July
like
26. Yeah, exactly.
But here's the crazy thing about this, and you and I talked about this last night. You have the main DSA folks, Democrat Socialists of America, who want to pick somebody. They want to push somebody, and then you end up having some establishment candidates who may be this former Maine speaker or Senate leader, or it could be the Janet Mills. But those two don't align. No. And those two groups are not getting along, and they had kind of coalesced behind Platner. And now I think you're going to see a bunch of these establishment Dems say, let's just go ahead and elect an old guard that's safe, that has a chance at beating Susan Collins at this point.
Yeah, but the DSA is not going to set for that.
No, they are not.
They had their candidate in Graham Platner. He was a Democrat Socialist of America. They had him, and he keep going back to numbers. See that cup up there? It says, words talk, numbers scream. He had 72% of the vote as a DSA candidate.
Yeah.
They are not, if they've made so many gains across the country, I don't see them laying down without a fight before July 27th. Because
so it's just going to be an interesting take with that.
It's interesting as can be.
Well, and
seeing how the sausage is made.
You and I follow a lot of the same people. One of the guys that you and I follow today said, why am I interested in a campaign in Maine? I'm interested in what happens in Kentucky. Tell me what happens in Kentucky. Kentucky has their own stuff. But why am I interested in this? Because what is happening in Maine is a microcosm of what is happening in the Democrat Party right now.
Yep.
And if you are a moderate Democrat or an old school Democrat or a Clinton Democrat, whatever you want to call yourself, there is an internal struggle and war, one similar to Rhinos and MAGA from 8 years ago, and now their party's facing it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that their party's going to come out the same because they don't have the same type of leadership or power at this point.
Yeah, we had the Freedom Caucus that was going against the Republican establishment
and the Tea Party and that group.
Tea Party, yeah. And Juan Williams, a noted Democrat supporter last night, he said we have problems. So we have to find a Bill Clinton Democrat that can bring people together and run a campaign. And right now, he said, I can't. This is on CNN. He said, I cannot think of one.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to tell you the guy that we see just about every day, and he is making a splash with regard to the Mitch McConnell issue, and maybe he's the answer to him. We will see. We stay in the Senate because the story of Mitch McConnell's health had several significant developments in the last 48 hours. And we want to bring all of it to you because the order matters. Senator Mitch McConnell has been continuously hospitalized since June 14th, now approaching 4 weeks. He has not been seen publicly. He has not voted since June 11th. His office has provided no diagnosis and no prognosis. On Wednesday morning, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear formally escalated the public pressure in a way he hadn't done before. He sent a written letter to directly to McConnell's office and addressed the senator directly. The letter is worth reading closely. Beshear wrote, over the last several weeks, Kentuckians have grown increasingly concerned about the current state of your health and well-being and ability to hold office in the United States Senate. As governor, I request that you fully update Kentuckians regarding the current status of your health. He noted that public office holders have made a commitment to our constituents to do our best to represent them and to always be transparent. And then in his view, this requires clear communication about one's ability to serve. He ended the letter wishing McConnell a safe and speedy recovery. Putting this in writing as an official act of the governor's office and on the letterhead is categorically different from a press conference comment. Creates a formal record. The governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky has now publicly, officially, and in writing requested that his senator disclose whether he is capable of holding office.
Leave that picture up.
Yeah, I will.
Because this is, and it could have changed since I was in state government, but anytime you saw a letter, office of the governor letterhead, you will have the governor's name on the left side as you're looking at it. Mm-hmm. And you'd have the lieutenant governor's name on the right-hand side of it. Nope. And I don't see Jacqueline Coleman on the right-hand side of that. And they've even got the address where I would think you'd see the lieutenant governor's name. So I don't know what's going on there. They might have changed the way it used to be to what it is today. But I found it kind of interesting that she is under the office of governor because she's a lieutenant governor. But I found it kind of strange that her name is not on this document that got nationwide coverage.
Yeah. Well, it's also important to point out that Beshear has been governor for the last 7 years. He's been governor ever since he's been sick, but nearly 4 weeks in, put this request in writing. That's not an impulsive move. It's a deliberate escalation by a governor who would be constitutionally involved, even if the law doesn't say he is constitutionally involved. And what I mean by that, and I'll explain right now, on Tuesday, I made the comment that, Andy Barr is going to be the next senator of Kentucky. I genuinely believe that.
No doubt about it.
However, if there is a need for a new senator prior to the November election, I can almost guarantee that Andy Beshear and his council are going to challenge this new law based upon the fact that the Kentucky Constitution, which was not changed by the 2024 law, the Kentucky Constitution gave the full appointment authority to the governor. Now, what I think that's going to mean is I think you're going to have arguments in front of either Judge Wingate or Judge Shepard in Franklin Circuit Court. I think they're going to make a decision. I think it's immediately going to go to the state Supreme Court, where, by the way, Andy Beshear has endorsed and pushed a majority of those people onto the Kentucky Supreme Court. And just like folks are happy or upset the fact that Trump has a conservative majority in the U.S. Supreme Court, Andy Beshear has a solid majority in the Kentucky Supreme Court in those 7. And it is very likely that regardless of what individuals want to happen, there will not be a special election. This will be played out all the way up to November, which
is the plan, probably. But let me ask this question. It's in the Constitution. Legislature passed a law. How does that supersede the Constitution?
Cannot.
That's what I'm wondering. So they're just waiting. They were just waiting on something to happen so they can take it to the judicial side of the triangle and get ruled yay or nay, which it'll probably go down, won't it?
It likely will. You
Because it's in the Constitution. Voters would have to vote to change that, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything dealing with the Constitution. And while I'll always stick by what I said, Andy Barr is going to be the next senator.
Going away.
And I understand there's plenty of people out there who are like, I support Booker, and good for you. You have the right to support who you want. Andy Barr is going to win by 15 plus points.
Yeah, it's just in
that race. Yeah. It's just a numbers game at this point. But because of that, you will have people who will now say, well, but the governor has the right to appoint. And hear me when I say this. I understand we're only talking about 2 months, but if the governor could appoint himself or Rocky Adkins or somebody else that would be a Democrat, that would be huge at a time when you have Susan Collins and you've got Bill Cassidy and you've got the guy from
Alaska and Maine, Susan Collins and what's her name?
Lisa Murkowski. So you've got those three who are going to vote against Trump all the time. And all of a sudden,
and McConnell's not going to vote.
And if you were to appoint a Democrat at this point in that position, you essentially have a situation where the Republicans in name may have control, but they do not have control of the Senate.
Right, yeah. With Collins, she's not going to vote Republican. She's not going to. Trump could say, I'm going to make an executive order that the sky's blue. Well, she'll disagree with it.
Yeah.
She wants to win her election.
Because she wants to win her election. You're absolutely right.
Murkowski's the same way. And I've never understood her because Alaska is a Republican state, but she always votes against Republicans. I don't know. She needs to go. But this with Andy, I think Andy, and I'm just saying Andy because he says, this is Andy. He don't say this is Governor Beshear.
Yeah.
I'm saying homespun Andy. I think he's got a good leg to stand on this.
Yeah, I think he does. I do not think that we would ever get to that point. It's a moot point at this point because McConnell is still alive, from what we understand. So you can't bring a preemptive lawsuit to decide what happens here.
Right.
It has to actually be in question. It may be something that comes up or never addressed at all. But against the backdrop of Beshear's formal request, Senate Republican leadership has been offering a set of specific, detailed reassurances about McConnell's condition and engagement. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, take this for what it's worth, reported speaking with McConnell earlier this week in what he described as a lengthy and substantive conversation covering national security topics and other Senate business. I don't believe that for a
I think he said he talked to you for 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Everybody has had 20-minute conversation.
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes is key.
Senate GOP whip John Barrasso of Wyoming reported a phone call on Tuesday that lasted approximately
20 minutes.
20 minutes. His spokeswoman, Katie Noyes, provided a notably detailed account of what they discussed, which is shocking. The Platner situation in Maine, a recent Supreme Court ruling on coordinated spending limits, the Senate's upcoming July work period, the National Defense Authorization Act, and the pending confirmation of the Director of National Intelligence. Noyes described McConnell as, quote, fully engaged and eager to get back to the Senate, end quote. Republican commentator and McConnell ally Scott Jennings, which hurts my heart that he said this because
he was the first one to come out, though.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
That's where the 20 minutes came from.
He separately reported his own phone call with the senator, also described as lasting nearly
20 minutes.
Covering
but remember,
Iran.
He said it first. He was the first
one.
Well,
Thune said it before anybody. Thune said he talked to him on
I didn't see Thune until after Scott Jennings.
Well,
but maybe he did. Yeah, maybe
we'll have to check the record on that. But
you know what
either way,
you know what Thomas Massey did, don't you?
Oh yeah, I saw Thomas Massey's quote too.
He did a meme
about 20 minutes.
Yeah, which we know was a lie, and and so many people believed it, but it was a pull your leg kind of thing.
Scott Jennings separately reported his own phone call with the senator, also described as lasting nearly 20 minutes, covering Iran, Ukraine, and Senate history. Jennings said the voice sounded strong and that McConnell was clearly keeping up with stuff. These accounts,
the Democrats talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah, it sounds just like it. And now, as we say it out loud, I'm wondering if this is some kind of play that they have, that they're
I'm wondering if McConnell's actually the senator or he's got the people behind the curtains that are actually pulling the strings, because I'm going to tell you, he has swung so hard left from being ultra conservative. to left, and then you got his wife that, it wasn't a big enough emergency. So I went to China to meet with the vice premier or something like that for whatever
Vice
reason.
President of China.
But, it wasn't worth my husband, who was found laying on the floor and giving CPR, for me to fly back from China. Well, by gosh, I'd be divorcing her.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said to you the other night, wild horses couldn't drag us away from our spouses.
Right.
If something was wrong with them, we'd be on the first plane,
and
a supersonic plane to get here.
Yeah, and them here for us, right?
Yeah. It has to be given weight. These are very, very specific. They are almost identical, each of these phone conversations, but they come from people with actual access to McConnell, and they describe substantive conversations about real policy matters, not just reassurances. A 20-minute phone call in which you discuss the NDAA, the coordinated spending limits, and the specific details of the main Senate race is not the output of someone who is not following the news.
Let me follow this question, that statement with this question. Why would they call McConnell in the first place? Because he's voting against the Republican Party pretty regularly now. So why would Thune and others consult with McConnell over anything? Because he's just a regular old senator.
Well, and the other interesting thing about that is people say, well, these are people who have access with him, but
why do they need access to him?
Scott Jennings worked for McConnell. He was a McConnellite. He came up through the ranks.
Yes, right.
Scott Jennings spends a majority of his time in D.C. and New York. He could easily pop over and check on the good senator and give everybody assurances, but instead he took a phone call because I don't trust phone calls right now.
Well, doesn't Scott Jennings still have a house in Louisville?
Yeah.
Oh, and he says, my good friend, Senator McConnell.
Right.
Well, if it's really your good friend, like if you're in a hospital, Kyle, and something bad happened, I'm going to come visit you.
Of course you are.
Now,
and he could be in D.C., he could be in Louisville, he could be wherever, but Scott Jennings travels every day. So you can't tell me that, well, I made a phone call to him 4 weeks after he's been in the hospital. You haven't visited him?
Yeah, and
you are where you are because of him.
He commentates on CNN, so he ain't on there all day long.
No,
and they wouldn't let him go see McConnell, who was their number one story yesterday.
Right.
So he got inside track to McConnell. They wouldn't say, "Hey, go visit McConnell.
Go up there and give us a report." And then people are all like, "Oh, well, we need." To worry about his privacy and all that. Then don't let Jennings in, and Scott can say, "Well, I tried to meet with him, and he wasn't able to take visitors."
Yeah,
but they don't want to do that, and why I don't know.
His wife didn't bother visiting him.
Right.
Till
she's back now. She's back now, but she's not with him.
Right. She's maintaining her house in D.C. and in Kentucky.
And in Kentucky, but there's no proof that she's actually been with him, but whatever.
Right.
And then came Wednesday night. President Trump was aboard Air Force One on his way back from the NATO summit in Ankara, Turkey, as we call it now. A reporter asked him a direct question. Have you spoken to Senator McConnell? Trump answered no. Then, how's he doing? And Trump said, I have no idea. I have no idea how he's doing. That is the complete exchange. I have no idea. I have no idea how he's doing. Now, hold that next to everything we just told you. The Senate Majority Whip reported a 20-minute phone call one day earlier and described McConnell as fully engaged. The Senate Majority Leader said the conversation was lengthy and substantive. McConnell's biggest ally said that the voice sounded strong. And the President of the United States, the leader of the Republican Party, the man whose legislative agenda McConnell has shaped for decades up to this point, he may go against him on some things, but it was the Republican Party that he helped shape, says he has not spoken with the senator and has no idea how he's doing. Those accounts cannot all be painting the same complete picture.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. Your thoughts?
And, there's speculation that McConnell turned on Trump because of Trump's tariffs on China. Because Elaine Chao finds China is one of the, if I recall correctly, one of the richest families in China. And
Taiwan.
Shipping and all that kind of, they're into all kinds of things.
Yep.
And she met with the vice premier of China. She's not in office. She hasn't been in office.
She holds no office. Yeah.
She has no power anywhere, yet she could still get a meeting with the vice premier of China.
In public. Public, where the people are taking pictures. What are they discussing?
I mean, that's probably one of the top 5 guys in all of China.
Yeah.
and she got a meeting with him, and it was so important that, is there some behind the scenes stuff, and is it China tariffs that have made McConnell turn? Because, she's got the money in the family, obviously.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of mystery, a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Yeah. Of course, I'm jumping all over them.
Of course you are. You're with your tinfoil hat in the background. The president of the United States just publicly told reporters he had zero contact with and zero information about a sitting U.S. senator from his own party who has been in the hospital for a month following what EMS audio indicates was a cardiac arrest. What does that tell you about that fractured relationship?
Trump don't care. Yeah. He's got too many other things to. I mean, Trump don't like him. There's no doubt about it. He's stopped so many of Trump's initiatives. McConnell has. Yep. Either by voting against it with Murkowski and Collins and others, or not voting at all over the last 4 weeks.
Right. And it has to, it cannot be lost that the reason Thune says he doesn't have the votes to bring the Save America Act forward or to kill the filibuster to bring it to a final vote is because of Mitch McConnell.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Right. Why not
get whatever you want?
Yeah. Thune's been going against it. I don't know why the legislators are so scared of something going down to defeat.
Well, I think people are afraid of
record. Yeah. Put them on the record. And then let the Democrats say they're against voter ID, but to get into a Democrat event, what do you got to do? You got to show ID. Every Democrat event, you got to show ID. Everything you do in your life, you got to show ID everywhere, but except our most important thing, which is the right to vote.
Big news today about that. A federal appeals judge overruled Judge Sparkle. Did you hear about Judge Sparkle?
No, I haven't heard about none of this.
Judge Sparkle.
I knew about Judge Sparkle. Yeah.
So Judge Sparkle essentially put an end to what she put a moratorium on the use of the SAVE database because she said that they had unlawfully collected Social Security numbers, which the federal government gives you, by the way.
Right. They've already got every Social Security number in America.
Right.
Because they hand them out.
And your driving record, they so that you'd be able to use both of them. She put a moratorium on that, said you can't do it, and a nationwide injunction. Today, a federal appeals court overturned that and said essentially it's already their information anyway. They can build whatever database they want, and went on a scathing. It was about a 19-page scathing, and now they've already filed. You'll love this. They've already filed articles of impeachment on Judge Sparkle.
Oh, cool. Well, they're supposed there to do the voters' bidding. Yep. The elected officials are. We got 80% of Republicans that want it. Almost 80% of Democrats and 75% of independents want the Save America Act.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
But some legislators, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, they won't vote to bring it forward. All the Democrats, and I don't understand what is why I never understand why they won't bring it up to a vote. It could be such good campaign material for Republicans to use against Democrats. I don't know what Thune's doing. I don't care if it fails.
No, I
put them on the record.
Yeah. Question here from Alvy, who's going to take Barr's congressional seat?
Dr. Alvarado.
Very, very likely Dr. Ralph Alvarado is going to win that, probably double digits, probably, because of the way that 6th district is set up. He is the Republican nominee,
from
highly
Madison
favored.
County. I think he's from Madison County.
He is. He's from Madison County. So that is going to take us into the portion that a lot of people are wanting to hear about. So let's talk Kentucky sports. Good with that?
Yep. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Well, I don't have good news tonight for everyone, but I will say that Coach Mark Pope has come out strongly after this has wound down. But I will also, we'll talk about some other aspects of this Kusturica recruitment. The Nikola Kusturica recruitment, which had Kentucky fans buzzing for the better part of 3 weeks, is officially over today. Today, Kusturicza committed to UCLA on a 2-year deal. He will play for Mick Cronin Gross and the Bruins beginning this fall before the 2028 NBA draft, where he is already projected as a top 5 selection. 2 years there. How did UCLA win it? Well, the competitive advantage the Bruins held was specific, structural, and hard to overcome. UCLA's director of international scouting is also a coach on the Serbian FIBA national team, the same team that Kusturicza was playing for at the World Cup in Turkey. He actually coaches for the U20 team, but they all trained together.
Right, yeah.
He was not just watching Kusturicza from the stands. He was on the bench with him in practices and pregame meetings in the locker rooms after losses. That relationship built in real time during the most important tournament of Kusturicza's young career is something Kentucky did not replicate from Lexington. Pope did fly to Istanbul. He did watch some other guys at the tournament, but he was mainly there for that one final push. It was not enough. The Kentucky recruiting community will recall that just a few weeks ago, 24/7 Travis Branham had briefly entered a crystal ball projection in favor of the Wildcats before pulling it, a signal of the ebbs and flow in the recruitment. However, we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think that was ever the case. In the end, UCLA had the right person in the right place at the right time. Kusturicza was extraordinary at the World Cup. He averaged nearly 25 points per game through Serbia's run to the silver medal, capping it with a 37-point performance. He is the real deal. The Bruins are getting a great player. However, it has been reported today by Big Blue Dylan that Serbian small forward Nikola Kusturicza had already committed prior to the FIBA 17U World Cup beginning on June 27th. And he was also waiting for UCLA admissions before officially announcing, but a deal had already been agreed to for a couple weeks now. He was told, and Kentucky was never gaining momentum. It is the Tyron Stokes deal all over again, Craig. Why are we getting these leads, making us think that we're in the game for these guys? And apparently they're just using us to up their deals with the original club they wanted in the first place.
Are you asking why are we continually falling for it?
Yeah.
I mean, Pope is not John Calipari. John Calipari could land. Let's see. I'm checking on how many times UCLA was on national TV last year. That doesn't say exactly how many it is, but it wasn't much because I don't remember. I mean, they were 24-12. They played in the Big Ten, but
your games are gonna be on at 11 p.m. Eastern, too.
Right? And I don't know what he gains by doing this. He loses 61% of his NIL money to salaries and agent fees.
He just gave $6.5 million away.
Yeah. Did he sign for 12? Have we confirmed that?
That's what was confirmed over the last couple of days.
But move on. Calipari, I mean, he'll learn. He'll be able to see the signs that he's being used to ramp up his money somewhere else because they're already going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But is he afraid that if he doesn't go after this player, it will hurt him in year 3 of his contract?
Well,
he might not have a job next year because, what's the new AD, Jay Blatt?
Yeah, Jay
Batt. It was rumored 2 nights ago he was going back to Michigan. But
Michigan State. He stayed. Yeah,
he reaffirmed that he's staying at Kentucky. He's going after him. And what's the other one that signed with Texas today?
Marcus Spears Jr. reclassified today and then immediately signed with Texas. That is also a 2-year deal from what I understand, or at least he's going to be in college for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's a situation that we'll have to keep an eye on. Texas already had a decent team. I don't know.
You take Kusturicza next year? If he says, well, I got my money out of UCLA, I now want to go for the big money at Kentucky.
Well, and do you take Marcus Spears, who when Ryan Hampton gets here next year?
Well, Spears was never on our radar,
Right. He is cousins with Hampton, though.
Right. He wasn't, with Hampton, but he wasn't chased. I'm talking about Kusturicza.
Oh, yeah.
We chased him across the planet.
We did.
And there's all kinds of whiff things.
Big ones.
They got Pope in a Superman outfit with whiff across the front. Yeah. But you're recruiting a player and you don't win him. I mean, that's just the way it is. Whether we're getting played so they can get extra money or not. I don't know, but
yeah,
sure seems that way.
Well, let's talk about what Mark Pope said yesterday. Mark Pope addressed the Costa Rica outcome and the state of the program directly with Kentucky Sports Radio this week, and his message to Big Blue Nation is worth hearing clearly because it is the right message. On the 15th roster spot, Pope said the coaching staff remains active in their search, but the fit has to be right. His exact words were, "Our gym feels good," which is what you do want to hear, but you don't know if he's just saying it. He said he would not add a scholarship player simply to fill a number, and that the roster's chemistry with 14 players now 3 weeks into summer workouts is in a good place, and he does not want to disrupt it. That said, he has not closed the door. The injury picture remains a factor in how Kentucky thinks about that final spot. Cam Williams has been on a scooter and a hard boot. Frank Kepnong has experienced complications. Reese Potter has missed some time. Pope has been transparent about all of it this year, which is notable because the standard coach response is everyone's working hard and feeling great. The candor suggests he's actively managing roster construction around the injury picture, not around what would generate good headlines. On Jamal Crawford, the three-time NBA Sixth Man of the Year, whose potential arrival as an assistant coach has been the other big story of Kentucky's offseason. Pope's most recent update confirmed Crawford's window is still open, but with a caveat. His AAU coaching commitment with his son JJ runs through mid-July. A decision is expected once that wraps. But he also said that he doesn't know why he would give up his current gig. He has a good gig. I think that's the way he said it.
He's making millions being a TV guy.
You're not gonna make millions sitting on the bench at
University of Kentucky. He might get $2 million.
Yeah,
he's making more than that doing these games. And
it's a much less arduous lifestyle.
Right.
You're doing a game a week, 2 games a week at most.
And does Jamal Crawford need to be in the assistant coaching level to get a head coaching job somewhere, being a great player that, scored at will, over 20,000 points, 3-time, 4-time, $6 million of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about that. I think our coaching staff is good.
I agree.
That'll help recruiting big time.
Yeah. As for the team itself, the Wildcats are in Las Vegas this week. Pope took the squad to Sin City for a summer bonding trip. No games, no pressure. Just 14 talented kids walking through the streets of.
They went to country music last night.
Yeah, I know that did they go to Kenny Chesney? Is that who they saw?
Kenny Chesney, that's who they went to. And then they practiced. They're practicing a little bit.
Yeah. And they said their coaching staff is still building the kind of chemistry that you can't manufacture on a practice floor alone. I'll also say this. He did not close the door on them having another trip this summer. A lot of people were kind of poo-pooing the idea of, you took them to Vegas. You didn't take them to the Bahamas
they watched Kenny Chesney in the Sphere.
Yeah. That's still pretty cool.
That's cool as can be.
Yeah. Craig Pope has said that you watched the same interviews I did. Our gym feels good. He's not forcing the 15th spot. The team is in Las Vegas, and the Crawford decision still coming, but it's kind of a done deal. I don't think there's any chance that he's coming to the University of Kentucky. Set aside the Costa Rica miss for a moment because we think that was probably already done. When you look at the 14 players already in Lexington, everyone healthy. What Pope is building in year 3 and where this program is heading into what most people expect to be a legitimate contender, at least in the SEC and in the tournament. How excited are you still about this roster in Big Blue
Elite 8. I am. And if Momcilovic puts up, if he shoots 45% instead of 48.7, I'll still be happy.
Yeah.
He's already said in interviews on, I think, WLEX that he said Pope wants me to put up more than 10 shots a game. And that's what his coach last year told me he wanted at least 10, which is probably about what he averaged. But if he can shoot 45% and get up 15 threes a game, I ain't got no problem.
No, and I think keeping these guys healthy, everyone says
got to have Cam back.
Got to have Cam back. We need Frank the Tank. We need these guys.
We need Cam more
healthy
than anybody.
I agree.
To be 100% healthy. Frank the Tank, we don't really know about, but we got to have Cam for sure.
I will tell you, I think it's all precautionary with Cam. We've talked to his dad, Greg. We've talked to other folks. It sounds totally precautionary at this point.
Yep,
Great. Let's keep it that way.
Because remember, he played the last part of the season, and
there was no re-injury.
Yeah, he was practicing, but he wasn't at 100%. So they're just letting it heal naturally. Is what his dad told us.
Yep.
Just letting it heal naturally, and so that he's ready for the official season.
Yeah, I will say this. It has to be noted for Big Blue Nation that we were down in the Tyron Stokes recruiting. We were down to the end with Costa Rica. Apparently, regardless of what Dylan says, at least we were in that.
Nationally, it was us in Kansas or us in UCLA.
Losing Costa Rica is a big deal, but being in the final conversation is good. On top of losing Stokes, however, that is a pattern that must be worth noting. Pope has to build the infrastructure to close those recruitments, and that takes time. But here's what's also true tonight. Kentucky has 14 scholarship players in Lexington practicing 3 weeks into summer workouts with their head coach telling you the gym feels good. He does not want to disrupt the chemistry. Momchilovich, Malachi Moreno, the depth Pope has assembled this year as opposed to his first 2 years
is great.
Legitimately talented program that most national analysts consider a top 15 program, and most serious basketball observers consider it a genuine Elite Eight contender at this point. If Crawford says yes, that's great. It's a significant upgrade for the coaching staff. If the 15th spot gets filled, that's great too. But what we have right now is a team that has bonded in the gym. He says it's the most fun he's had as a coach. He says the guys are all getting along, which is an improvement for this year. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what that means when you're talking about a high-powered, efficient offense.
And if if nobody from Michigan's available or anywhere else, maybe he gives it to one of the dedicated walk-ons that have been on the practice squad every year and give one of the senior walk-ons the 15th scholarship, knowing he's not going to play, but at least he'll have college paid for, and he can say, I was a scholarship player at the University of Kentucky.
Well, if neither of those things happen, Kentucky still plays, in Rupp Arena this fall with a very capable roster. And I understand that people in Big Blue Nation, they're going to lose their mind about the Costa Rica thing. They're going to do the whiff thing. They're going to talk about that. And that's what Big Blue Nation does, and we understand it.
Every quality team does it.
They do, and maybe a little bit
this
more.
One up.
Yep.
Yeah. And then George comes up with the KSR crew.
Yeah, I got that up there. Don't listen to that.
No, not at
nonsense.
all. No,
Yeah, that
SEC is going to be tough. We're playing a lot more SEC games. We're playing a hell of a tough preseason schedule. I think Pope says right now we're top 5, top 4 on toughest schedule. So I'm not worried. If they lose 10 games, big deal.
And here's the other thing.
How they lose them.
Yeah, here's the other thing. This is a different team than you had last year, and you have some guys, some established local reporters, if you will, who simply will start off negative. They will always be negative because they're hedging their bets. They want to say, that's right. That's right.
This team is going to be, this team is going to, they're gelling right now, I think, from all the video we're seeing, all the Instagram posts we're seeing, their own social media that we're seeing.
Yep.
They seem to be getting along great, which is a heck of a lot better start than we had last season.
Oh, yeah.
Heck of a lot better. And I still say this, from all the video that we've seen, we're lightning fast, we're thick, we're tall, we got great arm spans, and these boys can shoot. And my favorite thing, our 5 starters, if they are the 5 starters we talk about, they will go in, all of them above 80% free throw shooters. Yep. And tell me another team in the country that's got that. You won't be able to foul UK at the end of a game, the last 2 minutes of a game. You won't be able to do it.
No, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss is that there's a lot of fundamentals. There's guys who can put up points and everything, but the fundamentals, if you guys are shooting 80% or better from the free throw line, that means you're able to understand the fundamentals of basketball as well, which is just it's a brain thing, that it shows that you're playing. And my buddy Mike McClain, if he sees this, he's going to say, I've always said, you got to play smart basketball. And that's what I think you're going to see from these guys. It's going to be cerebral.
And then our defense, we'll be able to throw fouls at players. We'll be able to do hard fouls at players and not have to worry about we don't got nobody to back them up, because we could have 2 or 3 guys backing them up.
Yep. Alvy, I don't think you're going to have that problem with this team.
Not
I
this
really
year.
don't. You
got
have
Cam on one wing and Monchilovich on another, and then
a legit center.
Yeah, and a legit center, and even though he didn't shoot any threes last year, then the guards that shoot, I think they're both around 35%. So, but they'll be driving. The thing is, they're going to be driving, either dumping it off underneath or throwing to either wing, and we're going to be firing the ball up fast.
I'll say this: think about how good Jackson Robinson was as a point guard, and we loved Jackson. We hated to see him get hurt.
Yep.
Zoom Diallo and Alex Wilkins are faster.
They are. Both of them are faster.
Both of them are faster. They're better ball handlers than he was.
Yeah, I can't wait. Even though we didn't get Kusturica, I said before, and I think you did too.
Yep.
If we don't get him, big deal. We're still going to have a heck of a good
keep
team.
rolling.
Yeah.
Keep rolling. Anything before we get out of here on this abbreviated show tonight, Craig?
No.
You ready? Ready to get back and finish that?
No, I've got everything done. It's just, let's see. I think I talked about Ukraine and getting the Patriot missile design so they can start making their own. Trump saying that we might end up buying drones from Ukraine because they're so advanced. And he, his meeting with talking about the war, saying we're going to step in and possibly help Ukraine take out Russia because maybe Trump's finally tired of Putin.
Yeah. And
he wants to help Zelensky get in it. And maybe we're providing satellite technology because we're bombing, not us. Zelensky and his military are bombing Moscow. It seems like they will.
Yeah, nightly.
So, it's going to be, we could have 2 things coming to a close really quickly.
Yeah. I also think that with elections coming, that people are going to be demanding some changes as well.
No, there was one thing I had up, and as soon as I click out, it's gone.
Okay. Well, we had a lot, even in a short show tonight, we had a lot of different important stories. So if any information comes out on any of these things, if we have any news on Senator McConnell or otherwise, we'll break in and let you guys know as well. Craig, as always, I appreciate you, my man. To everyone watching and listening, thank you for being here tonight. Subscribe if you haven't. Give us a like. Share it with someone who also needs to be above the noise. We can't thank you guys enough for being here every night. And until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, stay above the noise. Have a great Thursday night, everybody. Talk to you soon.